Welcome to the podcast. My name is Jake, and I'm here with my partner, Josh. Typically on these episodes, we have three different types of shows. We either do something that's topical, tactical, or technical. And today, what I want to dive into, I'm actually very excited for this topic, is we're going to dive into something that is tactical. Specifically, I want to talk with Josh about how you could never deal with an objection again.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Wow. Never deal with another objection ever again. Is it possible? Well, the answer is yes. Why? Because anything is possible with the Lord.
Anything is possible through our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Unlike all these other gurus out there that are using Jesus to get more clicks, we've actually been walking with the Lord for years and years.
Josh was a pastor.
I was. That doesn't mean I was walking with the Lord, because I can also find plenty of people who were pastors and they're actually wretched and idiots. But nevertheless, is it possible? Yes, I do believe that it is possible.
Yeah. One of the things I want us to dive into is a lot of sales trainers and coaches focus so much on handling the objection. But you and I have both discussed with the students that we teach and the businesses that we work with, that a lot of times it's not a matter of you getting better at handling objections, but it's more a matter of getting better at the diagnose phase in your sales call. And I want us to dive into that. But before I do, can you talk a little bit about what we believe the four different phases of a sales call are?
Yeah.
And then we can dive into the diagnose phase.
Yeah, great. So for us at the Sales League, when we are talking about how do you handle a sales consult can be in person, a sales consult can be over the phone, and a sales consult could be like a Zoom video chat, right? So however it is that you're engaging with your prospect who's looking to potentially buy, purchase, sell, whatever your industry is, that sales consult, we believe, can be broken down into four main areas. You've got your intro, you got your diagnose, you have your prescribe, and then you have your close. Now, I will say we do have some subcategories that we teach if you are a part of our actual training, and we go into detail about that to explain it. But we want to break it down into four main areas, because whether you're a new sales professional or you're advanced, the power of simplicity will always serve you and benefit you. I don't care how great you are at sales. What trumps you being in sales for 20, 30 years is being a human.
Yes.
And being a human means you are susceptible to fatigue. Now, if you've been in sales for 30 years, that means your ass is old. That doesn't mean you're not good at sales. It just means that you are older, which means you can fatigue. And if the older you get, the one thing I know at my age right now, after doing jujitsu for just even a couple of weeks, I can't move. And I hurt and I'm in a lot of pain. I'm not being a baby. It's just the truth of the matter. I'm not recovering as fast as I did when I was in college playing football, right? It just is what it is. So why am I saying that? When you have the power of simplicity in sales, what that does is it allows you, and you're getting in a moment, and maybe you're on your sixth call for the day and you're like, where are we at? And you have that little bit of almost like lizard brain, and you're just like, I'm running in circles. What are we talking about? Something, you're just fatigued. Maybe you didn't drink enough water that day, or you didn't have your coffee. The point is this: when you have it broken down to, you know what? I'm in the diagnose phase. I'm in step 2 of 4 steps, or I'm phase 2 of 4 phases. Then you can immediately realign yourself and say, okay, here we go. So we break it down into 4 main phases because we want to make it as simple as possible so that you can actually focus on the nuance, the more complexities of what's going on in the sales call, especially when you're having to leverage active listening.
Absolutely. So you have these 4 main stages, and specifically when it comes to the diagnose phase, talk about what you need to do as a sales professional during that phase in your sales call, and how you can leverage that to what we like to call pre-handle objections. How can you structure that in a way where you get to the end of your call, you get to the prescribe, where you're prescribing a solution to your prospect, and there really isn't any objections, or very few. So how do you specifically talk about the diagnose phase, what that is, and how sales pros can leverage that?
Yeah. So I think for us, it was very simple to just adapt the doctor analogy. And that's where we came up with, diagnose, and prescribe. The doctor analogy made it to where we're like, you know what? That makes sense. I have a broken arm. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to walk into an ER. Even if I'm into an ER or to a hospital or something of that nature, guess what? I don't even get to see the nurse practitioner until I see the receptionist. No matter how much pain I'm in, they need to document that I'm even there. Right. So like I a lot of times see that the receptionist or whatever, almost like marketing. Right. So they're coming in. But then before you accurately diagnose that I have a broken arm, we have to take vitals. We have to take x-rays. We have to get weight, blood pressure. We have to understand what's going on, because if you do not accurately diagnose, you cannot accurately prescribe, which is malpractice. Despite the amount of doctors running around performing malpractice, and the ones that aren't, thank you for all that you do. But the point is this: in sales, if you are a sales professional and you just think, my solution's it. You called me, you did an inbound booking, you raised your hand, so obviously you have a problem that I can solve. Mm-hmm. Even if that is 100% true, I honestly want to say this: how dare you assume that? How dare you assume that you 100% know everything about that prospect and 100% know that you have the solution to their problem? You can believe it. That's okay. You know how much we talk about belief and conviction. Believe that you 100% have the solution to everybody's problems. But I think it is malpractice to not diagnose that, to make sure that your solution does prescribe it.
Yeah. And so in order to diagnose accurately, what are the specific steps that you would train on and have a salesperson go through to make sure? Because they can say, yeah, I'm diagnosing things correctly, but I'm still dealing with this objection at the end, or this thing is still being brought up. So how can you structure the diagnose phase, and what questions should every sales professional ask during that section of their call?
Yeah. So let's get into maybe how we break down the diagnose phase. I think there's this one doctor who kind of broke it down to 3 categories, and some people I've heard talk on this, really what an objection is and psychologically what's going on. But I want to make it simple. So there are 5 things that we believe, and we call these anchor points. These anchor points, if you have these anchor points locked in, think about somebody who's rock climbing. As they are trying to scale, or as they're trying to go towards something, an end goal, a destination, what they do is they lock in themselves into the mountain. Again, not a rock climber. So if you're watching this and you're a rock climber, and I misuse this analogy, just, have some grace. But in essence, what I have seen through the movies is that they lock themselves in. That way, if they slip or fall, they're not going all the way down. Why? Because they have anchored themselves to the mountain and they have certain points anchored in. Well, why we like the anchor points? Because there is pain, there's pleasure, there's timing, finances, and a decision maker. Okay. So pain, pleasure, timing, finances, and a decision maker. Those are the 5 anchor points that somebody will allow themselves to fall off the side of the mountain and fall all the way back down. Basically meaning they won't allow the natural conclusion to happen. So when you are on a sales consult with somebody, that is going to have a natural conclusion at some point. It's either they are going to purchase or they will never talk to you ever again. When we're not going to get into how we farm and how we nurture and all that into this episode. But those 5 anchor points allow us to hold the prospect to a standard of who they want to be. Okay. When you get the timing objection, I just don't think now is the right time. Okay. But in the diagnose phase, right? And I can say, oh, okay. Well, help me understand. Earlier, when you had said that if I don't do this now, I'm going to lose out on my business. So I have to fix this and solve this now. What did you mean by that? Because I have the anchor point that you have to do this now, right? Why would I give you my solution if you're like, this is not even something we need to worry about for at least the next 6 months? I mean, obviously I'm going to disarm that defense right there on that pre-handle that objection now in my diagnose phase. But the whole point of the 5 anchor points is because it is serving the prospect. One, with pain, we know where they're at. So I want to ask questions that help me understand where are you at, how long you've been stuck there, which my favorite how long you've been stuck there is actually pain and timing at the same time. It actually is serving.
How do you ask that?
An example, somebody has been trying to grow their lead acquisition, something, and they're on talking with a marketing agency. And it's like, yeah, we've tried leads before and we just have not been able to get the results that we want. Okay, awesome. How much have you spent? Oh, we spend $10,000 a month. Okay, you spent $10,000 a month, and how many sales are you getting? We're getting, one sale, and our one sale is $1,000. Okay, you spent $9,000 to make $1,000. That's not good, right? So once you find that out, then you can say, well, how long have you been trying to solve this problem? How long have you been in this position where you're spending $10,000 to make $1,000? So now I'm diving in on the pain, but I'm also finding out, oh man, it's been this way for 8 months. Boom. That's part of timing, because it's like, how much longer can you go doing what you're doing and not yielding a result? I can't go any longer. Would it be fair to say then that now is the best time? And if anything, you have to fix this now. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess we could keep trying or whatever, but yeah, we've got to solve this, whatever they say. And then you address that. So the point with the anchor points in the diagnose phase is you want to be asking questions that set you up to serve your prospect, to help them understand this is where you're at, this is where you want to be, right? So we call it.
How do you, real quick, going back to the anchor points, how do you know that you truly have that anchor point in? Because using the example of rock climbing, there are times where you get the anchor point in, but it's like, it's not all the way. There's people that have been injured because they put the anchors into the mountain, but it's not in there all the way, and then it falls out. Yeah. So, and this actually came up during one of our sales trainings yesterday. I was working with someone, and it was a question around, how do I know I've actually gotten their goal? Their pain, their pleasure, what it is that they want, their timing. How many questions do I need to ask where I feel that it's sufficient enough? Does that make sense?
It does. Am I allowed to give a nuanced answer?
You can answer however you want. Okay. This is our show, man.
All right, sweet. I'll
do whatever you want.
There's the easy way to answer, which is, oh, they said it. If they said it, then you have it. But experience tells us a lot of times people will say things and they know they're on a sales call and they'll just say whatever they want to say just to keep moving because they're just trying to get to the price. They just want to know their brass tacks, right? They want to get to the bottom line. So they'll just kind of say whatever they want. That's why I think it's always important to really understand. I think I've mentioned this before on a podcast, but that book, The Question Behind the Question, like understanding that second, that third, that fourth layer. So yeah, we got to fix this now. Well, that's where you can ask, in essence, a doubting question. Well, why do you have to fix this now? Well, we got to fix it. We want to make money. Okay, then why didn't you fix it a year ago when this was a problem? Well, I mean, we didn't feel it was time, or we tried, but it didn't work. Okay, so why now though? Like, you can ask a question that makes them either affirm their answer and they, stick their feet in the sand even deeper. And they're like, no, I'm not moving from this. This is a now thing. That's okay. So a lot of salespeople won't do that because they think they're going to actually talk the prospect out of it. Yeah. But if the pain is deep enough, if the arm is broken and the bone is protruding from the skin, not to be too graphical, then I don't care what that doctor says. I need this set. I need this bone reset. I need you to give me a crap ton of pain meds and to put this in a cast. So how do you know that you have gotten the anchor point securely locked in? I think it comes from reps, because it will be experience that tunes your gut, right? That you're tightening up the EQ of saying, no, this does sound good. This is accurate. This is right, because it is in alignment with everything else that they're saying. You get better as a sales professional that you can see their answer, from question 1 to question 100, whatever it is. I don't know if you're asking 100 questions, but let's just say on average, you ask, 25 questions in a sales consult. I'm making up a random number. If question 1 is congruent all the way to question 25, and there is congruency, I mean, at some point you got to trust your gut and assume the best in your prospect. You should always assume the best in your prospect, but I know my offer well enough that I know so much how we solve people's problems. Mind you, with sales, I know when somebody should come in and just be a part of our sales league membership. Hey, listen, where you're at in your journey, you just need to pay the low fee that we have that pays. It's a monthly subscription. You come train with us 6 times a month. That's going to be best with you because I know what they're going to solve in that moment. You don't need all this other stuff. Why would I give you something you don't need? Then I know when I'm on the phone with somebody and I'm like, no, you need one-on-one support. And yes, for all you coaches and brilliant guys out there who hear us doing one-on-one support, we understand it's not scalable. Probably won't do it much longer because we can only handle so many clients. I get that. But I know when someone needs one-on-one support and I can ask them questions because they will say certain things that it's like, you're not going to get that solved over here. You actually need me to come in and walk you through your mindset, running a team, management, something like that. You need Jake to come in and literally walk through how your pipeline is set up or how your CRM is optimized and how is it communicating with marketing. You know what I mean? So we'll know that. So when you truly know your offer and you know the solution that you bring to people, then you can know when a prospect says X and you're like, that don't make sense. That doesn't line up with this. I need to ask another question to clarify, to fully understand, seek to understand.
And a lot of sales professionals make the mistake of just taking that first answer. They're just like the person you asked them, what's your goal? I want to make more money, right? Or I need to fix this problem. Okay, cool. That's your goal.
Make more money.
Make more money. Lose weight. Get into real estate.
Get a a date.
Yeah,
like all the
get a date. Like that's their goal, and they don't take that just time to get a little bit deeper. And what you're saying is by just taking that time and getting a little bit deeper, it allows you when you get to the end of the call, the prescribe phase, to actually accurately prescribe a solution and be able to. I think it's very powerful. I was talking with a salesperson about this yesterday, and told him, You know you've done a good job when they know that you know how they feel, right? They know that you care, right? It's not just you saying you care, but they know that you know how they feel or the situation, or you can communicate it back to them. But you can't do that without properly going through these steps.
That's some emotional intelligence right there as well, because especially if you're dealing with a prospect that is displaying that high, feminine energy, male or female, it doesn't really matter. But like when they lock that in, and honestly, I think it works either way. There are times I've talked to diehard alpha people, but they could sense like, yo, I get you. Yeah. I feel you on this. I understand your pain. I might not be going through it, but I have empathy, strategic empathy to be like, man, I can see how painful that is for you.
Yeah. So let's say for a new sales professional, they've been doing this 3-6 months. Their gut isn't as tuned. They don't have as many reps in. What is something that they could do today to get their gut in tuned faster and be able to do better at diagnosing their calls in the beginning?
That's a great question. I would say the quickest takeaway is to, on a piece of paper, write out pain, pleasure, timing, finances, and decision maker, and reverse engineer your diagnose phase. Meaning, if I have a prospect, what are the common pain points that our solution is solving? So I'm going to write out those pain points that we solve. I'm also going to write out what type of pleasure points that we get people to. Like this offer helps people feel amazing about themselves because they have lost X amount of weight. This offer allows a business to grow. On average, we're seeing right now a 2X, 3X, ROI on what we do for their investment. So I'm going to list out those things that are common, and I'm going to reverse engineer all the way down. On common, this offer is going to have a spousal that's going to have to make a decision, because most of the time these people had 2 people purchase this home, whatever, right? I'm going to list those things out and I'm going to prepare. Then I'm going to go a step further and say, how could I ask that question to find out that answer? Yeah. So if I know that 2 people have purchased this house and now I'm talking to them about, I need to find out on a decision maker, hey, is there someone else on this title. What type of question can I ask that helps me find that out? And then I'll refine that. How? What? Out of curiosity, when you purchased a home, because earlier you said you bought this house in 2009. When did you purchase this home? Was that something that just you purchased all on your own, or was your spouse on that title as well? Yeah, they were on that. How does that look on the title? Who's on the title right now? You purchased that home in 2009. You say you want to say it shorter. Who's all listed on your title? What do you mean? Who's all listed on your title? Well, I guess it's, just me and my wife. Okay, awesome. So you both purchased this together. I'm going to lift up the energy because I don't want that to seem as a negative. Like, great, awesome. So when you go to sell this home, since you both have done that, are you aware that both of you will have to be in agreement on the selling of this home? Yeah, totally understand. Gotcha. So does your spouse partner now know that you're even, investigating and looking at this possible solution, right? So ask yourself, what type of question can I ask to know that I've gotten these pain points? Yeah. Then over time, you'll know which ones to ask. Does that answer it?
It does. Is there and I want to get just a little bit more tactical before we close things out. Is there a specific order that you would go in terms of asking those? Because I'm trying to think for the new sales professional out there watching this. You gave some great feedback on how to implement this, but do I ask a pain question first? Do I ask a pleasure question first? What if they bring up their pain? How do I go back to timing and pleasure, right? Because it's not always a linear progression.
Maybe we'll get really tech advanced one day to where I can have an iPad pulled up and I can hit a button while we're at, in the middle of this episode. If I could draw this out, it would make so much more sense. I love this question. Where do I start? Personally, for me, I will tell you how, if I went on a sales call and you wanted to model my processes or structures, not that you want to be me, but you want to model the principles. I like to go pain, pleasure, timing, finances, decision maker for the most part. Okay. Just that is my general rule of thumb. Now, here's what I want people to know if you're a sales professional. It doesn't always go that way. Sometimes you get on, as you just said, with the prospect and they just start hammering off timing. So do I stop them and say, whoa, I want to first talk about your pain?
Or if a prospect, using the example of a house, if they say, well, we purchased this house, and they're bringing up, that's something you'll hear a lot of prospects bring up, and it's important to take note of that. Oh, we did this, or we do that. And you're like, oh, so you have a business partner, you have a spouse, you keep bringing up we.
Here's my favorite one. Oh, gotcha. Real quick, before we get any deeper, what do you mean by we? Yeah. Oh, like me and my spouse. Awesome. So you guys purchased this house together? I'll ask it in a question, even though it's a statement. I'll go up at the end with that tonality, right? Oh, so you guys purchased this together? Yeah, we got this together. Oh, when did y'all grab that house? And I'll get right back into going through what I need to know. But I think it's very important that you understand, if you're going to grow as a sales professional and be able to handle anyone at any moment, at any time, then your ability to adapt and adjust is a superpower that most people don't use. It's like, well, the script says I've got to go with pain and pleasure. And it's like, well, if they're not going to give you that right away, then realize they will later. Go with what they're giving you and then know how to be flexible. So how I like to draw it is not linear. Pain, pleasure, timing. I actually like to draw it like a circle, prospect in the middle, and then it's like all these lines that go around it. And we might be going bing, 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 but it's still controlled and it's still me leading the prospect and guiding them. I'm just collecting the necessary information to accurately diagnose.
It's like a pie chart. You just want to make sure you fill in all the sections.
Yes, but pie chart is almost 2D. I actually see this almost like 4D. Because you're spinning it and you can see it from all different angles, but maybe 3D is just best. I don't know crap about physics or dimensions. I don't.
We're talking about handling objections, how to handle objections in the fifth dimension.
Yeah.
That's the name of this episode.
Listen, if you're not doing sales in the fifth dimension, how are you even making money?
If you're not doing sales playing 5-dimensional chess underwater while wrestling dolphins, then
you must be poor in your life if you don't play 4D chess. What? I don't know. Can you play regular chess?
yeah, I can play chess. I'm not great at it.
Have you played Asher yet?
Is he good? Dude, I bet he's freaking...
This kid pisses me off, bro. I will literally be playing with him and I will move a pawn. Now, I'm not moving a pawn because I've read a book and know that, well, that. So he'll be like, oh, the Russian something opening. He's like, I'm going to counter that with this. I go, oh, yeah, well,
I'm going to flip the board.
I didn't even know that. How about this? I just moved a puzzle piece. So you don't even know if it is the Russian. It could be the German. He's like, there's no such thing as a German when you're going D7 to that. I'm like, oh, yeah? You can't afford to pay for your own house. How about that?
Have fun on the streets, son.
Have fun on the streets.
Go sleep in the garage.
11-year-old, whatever. Right? You don't even, he's about to be 11, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, I think that there is a level of understanding that you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to adjust. But if you truly want to, do I think every objection will just be completely null and void? The answer to that is technically yes and no. It doesn't mean the prospect won't bring it up later. It just means now we know the truth about what they're saying and we will help bring back to their memory, like, but that's not who you said you are. And that's where we go with the whole like, hey, I've got version A and I got version B of who you are. I can partner with either one. This one over here says you don't want what you want out of life and you're going to stay stuck and you're going to continue to do the definition of insanity. This version over here actually is willing to pay the cost, do what's necessary, and actually achieve that which you desire. Which version you want me to partner with? Because if I partner with the version A over here, then I have to allow you to accept the lie and the fear and the things that are holding you back. If I partner with the version that you really want to be, then I have to hold you to the truth. I have to put your feet to the fire. I have to keep you accountable. So I think it won't ever completely shut down objections because fear will always try to rear its ugly head. But I do believe when you accurately diagnose, you can then hold the prospect to the truth about what they say they want.
And you are also able to maintain the leadership frame in the call as well. Yeah. A great example of that is when people are bringing up a finance objection. Just talking with someone about this yesterday. And we were talking about how during the diagnose phase to ask someone about finances, right? Like, hey, let's have a conversation around finances. Where are you at right now? What does your cash on hand look like? What is your access to credit? Getting all that information. So then when you get to the end of the call and you prescribe the solution or the product, you can say, hey, this is what it's going to look like. The investment is this. Based on what we talked about earlier, I believe the best option for you is to break this up into 2 payments, or the best option for you is to leverage our financing option, whatever it is, versus getting to the end of the call, dropping the investment, the person saying, oh, I don't have money for that, or that's too much right now. You already know that information. Or in the case of like a spousal objection, saying, based off of what we talked earlier in the relationship that you have with your partner or your spouse, is the next best steps is you can actually, and I wouldn't say to do this all the time, but suggest, I think that you should talk with so-and-so because you said that they're going to be, early on, you said that they're kind of hesitant with this and they're going to be a part of this decision and they're not on the call now. Mm-hmm. So even before
allows you to delay,
the
closing delay.
Instead of offering the solution right then and there, it allows you to say, hey, before I dive into what we have to offer, here's the next best step. Let's get your partner on the phone, and then we'll walk through things together. So with that said, any closing words you want to add before we close things out?
No, I just think if you really, really focus on your diagnose phase and you really think about how can I active listen, how can I ask open-ended questions, how can I set myself up to truly hear what my prospect is saying so that I can serve them, even if serving them is saying, hey, we're not a good fit for you. Yeah. If you're that open to it, man, I just don't think you'll ever be without making money. I think the byproduct of serving people is that you can line your pocketbooks and you can have the impact and money and the things that you want in life if first you are trying to serve your prospects.
100%. With that, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We appreciate it. If you got value out of this, the only thing that we ask is simply to share the episode. Send it over to someone else. If you thought it was funny, send it to someone. If you want to make fun of us, that's fine as well. So again, thank you so much and stay sharp.